Welcome to our introduction episode, designed to share with you what you can expect from our upcoming Women Empowered Leave Legacies through Trade and Investment podcast series, Captured in Dubai. Our guest for this introduction to set the stage is Terri, Director Global Diversity Export Initiative at U.S. Commercial Service and Senior Advisor for Export Promotion at MBDA. This is a special KDM and Associates What Works podcast. In this series, you'll be inspired, learn practical entrepreneurship tools, you'll understand our mandate at MBDA and the link to global women's entrepreneurship, international trade and commerce, and so much more. Hi, I'm Timothy Maurice Webster, a behavioral psychology author and researcher. I lead KDM's team in research and communications in South Africa, and I'll be the host for this series. Enjoy. Terri, welcome. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me. It's exciting to be here today.
It's been such a delight partnering and working with you on this project. We had an extraordinary time engaging at a very grassroots level in Dubai. You've got a lot on your plate in the international trade arena, but I'm imagining WELLTI is high on your priority list.
You know what? It is. I think what we did in Dubai was something that we have never done before, and that's bringing women together in a setting where they can connect and grow their networks. And I think the other regions in our organization have seen what happened in Dubai, and there will be other versions of WELLTI worldwide. So whether it's in the Asia Pacific region or Western Hemisphere or Europe or other parts of Africa, we have more to come with empowering women in international trade.
Let's talk a little bit about how WELLTI came about. Take us back a little bit.
Well, to be honest with you, WELLTI came about probably about the origination of it was about 2 years ago during the pandemic, actually in 2020. And in our last administration for the federal government. And just so the audience knows, this is a federal government program that was organized and produced by the U.S. Department of Commerce, International Trade Administration. So 2 years ago, there was a call for proposals for a women empowerment program. And so I worked with some of my partners here in Los Angeles. I'm based in Los Angeles, California. I worked with some of my partners here in Los Angeles to put forth a proposal. And at that time, the proposal didn't really take off. And, it was a little discouraging, but we knew we had a great idea. And so in January of 2021, we launched what was a series of coffee chats. And coffee chats were informal discussions where we would focus on a market. We started in Kenya. We focused on a market and we focused on a woman entrepreneur, woman-owned business in that market to tell their story about how they got started and how did they expand beyond their market. So that traveled. They went from Kenya to Ethiopia to other markets throughout sub-Saharan Africa. And then our colleagues in the Middle East got wind of it and wanted to have it in their markets as well. So we had one in Morocco and Jordan and Saudi Arabia. I mean, it just went all throughout the region. And so when my colleagues were planning for Trade Winds, WELLTI took place alongside our largest trade mission and business forum that we plan for overseas, and that's called Trade Winds. When we knew for sure that Trade Winds was going to happen in Dubai, our Deputy Assistant Secretary, Camille Richardson, had already been talking on every coffee chat about Trade Winds and wanting to bring women together during that conference and have a focus on a WELLTI focus. And so all the pieces just fell into place, and we had our first summit this March during International Women's Day and Women's History Month. So the timing was auspicious in terms of it was the perfect timing to focus on women at this conference. So it was I would say a 2-year journey, but a journey that was well spent in building momentum. And now the cat's out the bag, and so we're looking forward to what is going to take place in other parts of the world as well.
Let's talk about why women in business should care about WELLTI. What are you doing for them?
Well, what we're doing, one of the things that we know for women-owned businesses, or women-owned businesses really are, first of all, during this pandemic, there have been more women that have quit their jobs and started their own business. And a lot of it has been out of necessity, right? You have children at home, the regular 9 to 5 has just not worked in this environment, especially if you're a mother. So a lot of women have started businesses. They've started online businesses. They've used the skills that they have to, whether it's, there's people from, former lawyers to, people that have all sorts of skill sets, discovering, their passions and turning that into something that they can support their families for.
Wow.
And now we know that there are certain challenges that women-owned businesses face. It could be access to capital, which financing is a huge part of the barriers that women-owned businesses face. It could also be just not having the right networks to grow your business or to take it to the next level. Not knowing the resources that are out there. There are so many resources, especially by the US government, beyond even Department of Commerce. There's the Small Business Administration, there's Exim Bank, there's MBDA, the Minority Business Development Agency. There's all these resources. And so what we're trying to do is make sure that women know about them, that they
Yes.
not only know about them, but they use the resources to help them grow their business. And we're trying to tailor programs and activities that will specifically meet their needs. So it's an opportune time to do all of this work, and I'm just excited about it. And I will say too, it's a moment in time and a moment in history that we haven't had before in terms of women leadership. Not only do we have our first woman vice president of the United States, Kamala Harris, but in the Department of Commerce, it's not our first woman, but we do have a woman Secretary of Commerce. In the International Trade Administration, we have a woman undersecretary. So there's a lot of women in powerful positions at this time in this point in history, and we want to leverage that. There's also a woman, the head of the Exim Bank, which has never had a woman in its 80+ year history.
Wow.
So there is a lot that's happening in terms of gender equity. The White House has made that a part of their strategy or priority, and that has trickled down, I think, to us in the throughout the bureaus to try to implement programs that can help lessen the gap um,
Yes.
for gender equity. So that is, that's why we're doing this, and that's why I think women in business, they should care about these resources, because they really are tailored to help them.
When we were on the ground, we heard how grateful the entrepreneurs and business owners were. So why did you find it important to open your proverbial doors to KDM and Associates, our team, to capture stories on the ground? Why does capturing these stories matter so much to you guys?
I think it's important to capture the stories because the stories matter. Other women need to hear or see what other women are doing and to know what the possibilities are. I think just having that exposure, I mean, it was great. We had about 56 plus participants in the WELLTI programming on the ground in Dubai. And then we had about 200 or more that registered for the live stream. But
Wow.
I think by capturing the stories and then sharing them on various different platforms, you're able to reach a wider audience, and you can continue to grow the momentum of what the Commerce Department is doing, and to show that this is something that others can get involved in and others can reap the benefits from as well.
What was extraordinary for me is watching you and your team led by women really bring so much passion. I mean, I hadn't prepared you for this question, but I will ask you, you have the choice to answer or not, but you went to Spelman, an all-girls school. And what I know is for sure in my research and working with women in leadership, that when a group of women come together, there's an extraordinary energy and impact that you guys can make. Do you feel like you and your background is wired to be able to drive this and drive this work at WELLTI?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting this question. And believe it or not, no one has ever, they've never asked me that. They've never even noticed. And I've never even talked about, in terms of being a Spelman grad to anyone professionally. But I would have to say yes. I mean, when I think about the work that I'm doing, whether it's WELLTI or even the Global Diversity Export Initiative, and really trying to drive change within our organization, I feel like Spelman was the perfect preparation for
Yes.
this. I mean, it gave me the foundation, it gave me the background in terms of just knowing our history. And I'm still learning so much
Yes.
about our history of Black women. And I think that, yeah, I'm prepared for this. And
Wow.
Spelman was great preparation. I mean, I give so much credit to Spelman, because Spelman, when you walk through those gates as a graduate, you truly believe that anything that you want to do in your life, you can do it. And I have felt that. I mean, there's been obstacles, there's been difficulty along the way, but I'm 20 plus years out of Spelman,
Yes.
and I can say that the payoff of having gone to an institution, a women's institution, and an institution that focuses on Black women as well, has paid dividends for me, not only professionally but also personally as well.
Terri Batch, thank you so much for joining us on this special episode.
Thank you for having me. It was great to speak with you today, Timothy.
And thank all of you for listening. We really appreciate you following the upcoming series in advance. And at KDM and Associates, we are thrilled to be able to support your goals. So please do reach out by clicking the link details below. I'm Timothy Maurice. Until next time.